This is Michael Coop with Different Pews, Same Promise, and I'm coming to you today with a few guys that kind of helped kick off this entire idea of this podcast, and just some great friends, guys I would consider my family, guys that I consider a couple of the best guys I've ever known, and I hope through some of our talk today and some of the things that we are going over that one, not only we have a little bit of fun, but at the same time we also do the best we can to fulfill this entire podcast and show what it means to be part of a different pew, but still have the same exact promise. So, without further ado, I will start to introduce you to a couple guys, Derek and Ruben, and hopefully Channing will get an opportunity to get on as well. But we will see if that happens. So here we go.
We all at some point had played basketball together. What do you guys think about the new NBA All-Star layout?
I mean, I actually liked the All-Star game better.
Yeah.
It seemed like they actually gave a little more effort and it wasn't, just a wannabe highlight reel for an hour. Um, so I enjoy that. I hope it helps bring back the competitive nature of the way it used to be. Because, I mean, it was getting worse than, the NFL Pro Bowl, which is complete trash now.
Yeah, the flag football,
Yeah, and
lovely.
dodgeball.
Well, yeah, I think I understood why, especially in football, I understood a little bit why they started trying to do that because of the amount of people that actually came to the Pro Bowl, and most of the guys that are in the Pro Bowl, if they're deep in the playoffs, then they're not going to the Pro Bowl. So it's they did it, I think, primarily to help preserve some injuries and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I don't know. I've only watched it maybe 5 or 10 minutes of it, and it was pretty boring. What do you think, D? Did you watch anything?
No, man. Actually, I've been on nights, so I missed the slam dunk contest. I missed the game, all of it.
Oh, you didn't miss the dunk contest, bro. But
I heard it was terrible.
It was terrible.
I heard it was terrible.
yeah,
You know,
it was pretty interesting. I was reading an article about the guy that won 3 years, the past 3 years, McClung or whatever, McClung,
mhm.
because he's still not on a roster anywhere. He
No,
Yeah, he's been bouncing around like crazy, but is interesting reading that article about this kid. I mean, I say kid, he's 27, but yeah, the dunk contest only had 4 guys in it, and it was real boring. I was trying to show Toby some old ones because I was not the one to watch.
The
I tell
guy
you what,
who,
if you want to see a good one, what they need to do is model it after Shaq. Shaq has a show, I think it comes on TNT or something. It's called Dunk Man.
Oh
Check
yeah,
that. That day, man, those kids there off the street, they can jump and they do some good dunks. So they need to
yeah,
figure out a way to kind of model it after his show, or you know, make the dunk contest, bring people off the street and put on the dunk contest instead of
oh
the
man,
NBA stars or something. But yeah, man, that's a good one.
they were talking about it on First Take this morning that until they can get the star power back, the players that the fans want to see doing the dunk contest, it's just going to stay garbage.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That's what I got playing in the background right now is First Take. They were just talking about that.
Well, just like on Shaq's, like when they did the dunk contest with the dudes off the street, what's the main white dude that is ridiculous? Is it Jordan Kilgore?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah,
on
yeah.
Dunk Kings, wasn't he?
Yeah, Dunk Kings. He
Wasn't it that
doesn't.
show that he like became real famous on was Dunk Kings?
Well, he got famous from his YouTube videos, and then like he got national with the broadcast. That dude, he has some crazy dunks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. So yeah.
Yeah, I was somewhere posted the 4 dunks that McClung was gonna do, and one of them was similar to one of Kilgore's dunks, where he like throws both his hands behind his back and dunks it. But McClung had somebody holding the ball up there, where like Kilgore catches it and does it.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing a few of his. I remember when watching the first Dunk Kings where he walks on the court and Gary Payton was like giving him trying to get him off the court. Ruben, how you met me, where you met me, why we're still friends, maybe. I don't know. People might find that funny.
So I met you back in college at Concordia University, Seward. Um, and I mean, why we're still friends, I have no idea why you're still friends with me, but I give you so much crap. But no, I mean, we just been brothers pretty much since we started playing intramural basketball together. Um, we
That
lived
was way
across the
back.
hall. Uh, Countless nights of staying up till 2 in the morning playing Conker's Bad Fur Day. So just kind of build
Man,
that collegiate bond, I guess, and it's carried through the years.
yeah. Many
So
years now. I was thinking about that. I was like, dude, that was 20 years ago.
yeah, 20 years.
It's weird to think about that. But can you introduce yourself to everybody and just kind of let them know who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so Mike said my name's Ruben. Who I am and what I do. I mean, so right now, kind of working in the entrepreneurial realm. Got a Dirty Mexican company started, making salsa, trying to get that into stores. Hopefully, go national. Hopefully by the end of this year, we can get in stores and get production going.
Sweet. You have a day job aside from your entrepreneurial side?
Currently, I do work for a company that they're based out of Oklahoma. Do remote work. Located in Colorado right now, so working on getting my side hustle going.
Cool. Derek, you don't mind introducing yourself, telling everybody how tall you are, how much you weigh, all the important things.
Weight is unimportant, sir. I mean, that's just a number.
Truth, truth.
Derek Dullafalls. I'm from Louisiana. Met Mike. Ooh, man, when you were teaching at Our Savior, I forgot what year that was. It must have been
2009 was when I started there. So I don't know if we met in 2009, but
it was shortly thereafter. No, it was right about the time you got there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was right about the time because I remember when you got there. Yeah. So known you since then. So yeah, just man, believe it or not, coming up on 20 years, about 3 more years. So about
Yeah.
17 years now. Just hit it off. Had a lot of the same interests, basketball, hunting, fishing, that sort of thing. Met Ruben through you. And I mean, we've just all kind of been friends since.
Yeah.
Currently, I live not far from New Orleans. I manage at a railroad company.
Oh, nice.
So, that's what I do on my day job. Been doing that for almost 28 years now.
Man, yeah.
Hence the
20
gray hair
years.
right in the middle of my beard.
Yeah,
Between that and kids.
yeah, that's what it's really funny. I've got a seventh grader right now, and every day he walks into class, he's like, how many gray hairs did the sixth graders give you today? And how worried should I be about how angry you are?
It's a smart kid.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a real
So
funny kid.
is it the kids cause the middle to go white, and then the wife causes the outsides to go white? Because I've only got it on the outsides.
Maybe that's it. Let's go with that theory.
Yeah. So, Derek, I got a question for you. Did you know that the LCMS Lutherans that are known for being the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, did you know that they actually resided in New Orleans long before they ever went to St. Louis?
I did not.
Yeah,
That is new.
so
Yeah.
I've actually been doing a lot of studying for the SMP stuff, but one of the history pieces on the LCMS was they actually resided in New Orleans for quite a while, and then something got them to move out of New Orleans and push up to the the St. Louis area, and then they resonated there in the St. Louis area, but that they even started in New Orleans long before Louisiana, or I mean, before St. Louis.
It is interesting. I'd like to know what pushed them out.
I'll
I
have to
mean,
go back and see if I can find
clearly
that.
it wasn't all the debauchery, huh?
Yeah, no, strict with slavery laws that the Lutheran Church actually pushed themselves up further north, and somehow they got to St. Louis and resonated there. They still had a big church following in the New Orleans area and a lot of church plants in that area. But the LCMS is actually known for being one of the only churches during that time that would let African American slaves come into their churches and be a church member,
Mm,
regardless of whether they were, a slave or not.
right, right.
It was pretty neat, the history that I was reading on it. So the Lutheran Church is just uh, very different back then, but it's also, it's a different movement, and they moved up and moved into St. Louis, and that's kind of where their headquarters resided. And I didn't know if you knew that, being from Louisiana.
That's cool history.
Yeah,
I would have gone with the New Orleans is mostly Catholic, kind of the background and everything. Southern Louisiana is a lot of Catholic,
a
so
lot of
I would have
Catholics.
gone that direction.
Hey, I didn't know. I mean, I don't know much about Louisiana in itself, but I mean, I barely know too much about the way the church has moved, even in the Colorado area where I grew up. But did you always grow up in Louisiana?
Yeah, born and
Yeah,
raised.
born and raised.
Yep.
Lake Charles, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, which is opposite side of the state from New Orleans, so it's western part of the state, more along the border with Texas.
Ruben, you were born in hell, right? I mean, in
I was born down in Corpus Christi, Texas.
yeah.
Very heavily Catholic with all the, Mexicans and Hispanics, Latins, whatever the political correct term is these days.
The Catholic movement was huge, especially coming from Spain and Mexico. The Catholic church is still pretty big and pretty prevalent in the Hispanic culture. Interesting how they all got moved into different territories, and how things got planted and everything. But
Now, if you were to have asked me, what the prevalent denomination was in Louisiana, I would have guessed Southern Baptist.
yeah, actually, I would have went that route too.
Yeah.
Well, really from Indiana and then Florida, but it's interesting that my dad's side was real strict Southern Baptist Florida
It
area.
may be, it may have kind of switched. More probably northern Louisiana. If you draw a line in the middle of the state through Alexandria, go north, you probably get more a little bit more Southern Baptist. But remember, Louisiana being mostly French in the beginning. French settlers, huge Spanish uh, immigrant settlers, Italian. The start in the beginning was heavy Catholic.
It does make sense.
Ruben, do you have a first church memory that you can remember, like when you first were in the church?
I mean, not really. Like, there's nothing specific that sticks out of my head. My first memories, I believe, were in the Lutheran church, but I know, like, my parents, when I was, still a toddler, were in the Catholic Church. They didn't switch over to the Lutheran denomination until I was a little younger, maybe 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there.
Okay. Well, your parents were always in the church?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to get your dad on here. He'd be a funny one to interview.
Yeah. So they grew up heavy Catholic. He has some good stories when he was a kid in church.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Well, I'll tell one of my dad's favorites.
Okay.
He doesn't particularly care for chocolate and hasn't since he was a kid. And the way he tells the story, he's, keep in mind my family, we're all heavy set people, we're all big people. And even as kids, we're the chubby kids, think Chunk from the Goonies. And so he tells the story that, church service must have been running long that day because he got a little extra hungry. And, my grandma always kept, candies and snacks. And I mean, she had, damn near a whole kitchen in her purse. Like, I remember her always like pulling out tortillas and avocados and making tacos in the car. Like, so he went rooting in grandma's purse for some, snack. and found some chocolates. So yeah, he dined on a couple chocolates. Turned out they were X-Lax.
Oh,
So to this day,
jeez.
the thought of eating chocolate just it doesn't
Still
sound
makes him
he
sick.
doesn't, yeah, he doesn't do chocolate now because of
Oh man.
that.
I could imagine that would probably do you in there, you know.
I just picture my dad getting bored in a Catholic church service,
Yeah.
just rummaging around for candy.
Oh no. That's terrible. Derek, were you always in the Lutheran church?
No, I kind of split in the, early on whenever I was Baptist. My dad's side of the family was Baptist. My mom's side was CME, basically Methodist Episcopal. Uh,
Okay.
so I split time between the two. I was baptized Baptist, but depending on
Yeah.
what Sunday it was, depending that kind of say what church I was going to that day. Whether I was going with grandma to her church or with my dad over to that one.
Right.
Um, I know it'll probably be a topic later on down the line, but there's a lot of similarities between actually both of them, the Missionary Baptists and the CME Church, and some of the Lutheran stuff, which I noticed when I did join Lutheran, going through the initial process, just the ties, a lot of the same traditions and teachings and stuff.
Do you remember the first Lutheran church you went to?
It'd have been OSL.
Was it? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And our kids were going to school there, and I think we went to some type of program, and we just heard pastor speak and was like, man, sounds, he's teaching from the Bible, stuff like that. So we went in for a Sunday service, and, we liked it and stayed.
Yeah. What brought you to send the kids to Our Savior?
I don't remember.
Is it a locational thing?
No, it wasn't just location. The school may have had a pretty good rating. Actually, I'd have to ask the wife on that one.
Yeah.
I believe we found it back then. I can say, man, that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't remember what drew us. Like I said, I think it was just that the school did get some high marks. I believe my wife spoke to someone that went there, and they,
Okay.
were like, hey, it's a good school. And so, I want to say Ethan started maybe second, third grade or something like that.
Well, he had GANs, didn't he?
He did have GANs.
Yeah, so it'd been
Before
first
that,
grade at least.
before that, he had, oh shoot, she's retired. She was
Pat,
in the early
Pat
care.
Smithson.
Smithson.
Yeah, I
Yep.
actually just
Smithson.
saw her yesterday, actually.
Really? How's she doing?
Really good. She came up and gave me a hug right away. Quite a few people. Ruben, I saw Craig Volka. He and Fenny, they actually came up and talked to me too. Channing had his baby girl Vivian baptized yesterday. So we sat in the church with them yesterday.
Okay.
But yeah, it was interesting because I haven't stepped foot in that church since 2018. So it was a bit of a interesting little Sunday morning.
Derek, I have a question for you. What does CME stand for? I'm assuming that ME is Methodist Episcopal. What is
Was it, shoot, Mike, help me. Was it Christian Methodist Episcopal?
That's what I would imagine it would be. That's what my mind went to right away. I don't know much about the church. Yeah, the church denomination on that one, but I would have guessed Christian Methodist Episcopal.
It is. Yeah. So CME and AME are kind of interchangeable to a
Gotcha.
degree.
So
they're kind of the same. Go ahead.
when Mike sent us the picture, the AI picture he made, you looked exactly like my buddy that we went to college with, and he introduced me to my first AME church service. And if you've ever been, have you ever been to an AME Zion?
It means Colored Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay. Dude, it was like It's like
Where'd you find
a
that at? Silly. Where'd you
Oh,
find that at?
from it originates from Jackson, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, the original name
Yeah.
was colored, yes, because it was mostly black. But I think over time,
No, it
it,
has changed. Yeah, actually, I just saw that now, but it was
yeah,
founded 1870 or whatever, I guess. But,
right. So yes, originally, yes, it was colored Methodist Episcopal, but yes, modern times now it is Christian Methodist Episcopal,
I would, yeah,
and then
well,
I
AME
would have
is
suspect they changed that at some point, but
yeah, bro.
well, I tell you what, dude, that the AME Zion Church service we went to, it was like going to a praise and worship concert, dude. Like it was one of the most energetic, like just moving church services that I'd ever been a part of. It was amazing, and I loved every second of it. I was just curious.
Derek, you
Yeah.
got a memory of the what it felt like going to the first Lutheran service you went to?
I think when we were there, it for me, I was just more comparing what I grew up to, or grew up with,
Yeah.
and I was just struck by how much it was similar.
Okay.
The similarities. Like I mean, I mentioned it before, but it's if we go to my grandma CME church right now, you would just see a lot of the way the service is done, the recants, things like that. It's very similar. The creeds that you recite are all the same, and actually those same creeds we used in Baptist church as well. So just the similarities is really what stuck out to me.
Okay.
I think that's why what made it easy to be able to join the Lutheran church and feel at home there was just okay. This is something I'm used to. I understand this.
Was it the church that you grew up in? Was it pretty traditional? Because our Savior's pretty traditional comparatively.
Uh, my grandmother's church, CME, yes, they were a little bit more traditional. Baptist wise, yes and no.
Okay.
Traditional in a way that how you're supposed to act, how you dress, what your roles are for men and women, that sort of thing. But maybe a little bit more modern, or they started to transition a little bit more modern just to kind of draw in the younger crowd, just
Right.
kind of adapting with the times. Um, so, yeah.
Ruben, did you guys when you started going to Lutheran church with mom and dad, did you guys go to a more traditional church or more contemporary style church?
Um, Honestly, I want to say it was kind of in between because the church it started off small. Like I vaguely remember the building they used to rent out like on Sundays. And then they had the Laborers for Christ to actually build them a sanctuary. So it was kind of in between traditional and contemporary at the
Right.
time. I'd say probably a little more on the traditional side, but
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think I resonated with more traditional styles of worship right away, and then my time at Our Savior obviously did a lot for just the foundational pieces of I guess I should say deeper doctrine that I learned throughout the years, but the uh, difference that I came from was so drastic because I didn't grow up in the church at all. And the first church I even remember walking into was a very contemporary, non-denominational church.
yeah.
So yeah, so it was a real big difference. And then the I wouldn't call it a culture shock. I guess it was a bit of a shock when I went to college and we started going to some of those smaller churches in like B and Staplehurst and Utica and all that in Nebraska because those churches were a lot smaller and the traditional style of worship was always done in those smaller churches there in Nebraska. But it's interesting the
Well,
different
it
ways,
seems,
but
and I don't know how true this is, but at least the couple that I've been to, like a lot of the more, I don't know what the right term is, but the startup churches, the ones that are kind of getting going off the ground from nothing, tend to lean less traditional. Um, and I've only been to two or three. So I don't know if that's true for the majority or if it's just the, select few that I've been to, but um,
Are
like
you
I said,
talking about like in the Lutheran church or in the church in
yes,
general?
yes. The Lutheran church is my experience for those.
Okay. Yeah.
So
It's
like Coonsy's church out there in Humble was a lot more contemporary. I had a pastor that went, I think he was in Oklahoma, did a startup church, and we went to visit, and it was, contemporary. So,
yeah, there's a big especially down here. I'm actually coming to find out. I'm finding out a lot more about the LCMS the past few years, looking into doing this SMP program and everything. Got my acceptance letter on Friday, so I'm official, and I'll start my coursework in September and start working on. It's not necessarily a ordained pastoral degree the same way, but the way the LCMS is moving right now is there's a big split, which there's always been somewhat of a split, and I mean the whole ELCA when that started in the Evangelical Lutheran Church when they broke off of the LCMS, and you look at even the two seminaries, and there's a little bit of difference in progressive compared to traditional or conservative style. Split right now, they're actually saying is the traditional side of him is calling themselves confessional Lutherans, and then they're calling the more progressive side a missionary minded. And so the big difference right now is confession versus missionary. And it's very interesting the way everyone is looking at the LCMS right now. If you are if you're a deep rooted LCMS Lutheran, it's very interesting. But there's a lot of church plants going on, and the bylaws that just came out in November for the SMP program for the seminaries. Actually, part of the reasons they wrote the bylaws was because there's a lot of mission minded churches that are actually using the SMP program to start new churches and use those pastors to be the lead pastors of those churches. And so it's very interesting the outlook in the Lutheran world right now. Sorry, gave you a little history background there or what's going on in the Lutheran Church today. The entire reason I even wanted to start doing this, and I've had this idea for quite a while, and I'd say even for a couple years now. And the main reason I even wanted to do this was because each of us has come to the Lutheran Church in a different way. And even though we're so, I don't want to say intertwined into the Lutheran Church, but more so Derek, you kind of hit on it. The interests that we have, all of us, even Channing, who couldn't be with us today, who's still a big part of the, core group of friends that we get together with when we're able. The way that we met through the Lutheran Church, and then the idea that we all have, because I bet if you asked any one of us what the purpose of going to church was, we'd all be pretty quick to say the same thing. The reasoning for or desire to have a relationship with God, it would base itself around the same way. And I think that's something that gets missed often with a lot of traditional churches, with a lot of churches that stick to wanting to root themselves not only in their doctrine, but root themselves in and kind of, in a sense, close themselves off to what they are comparatively more than how we reach more people for God's kingdom. And so part of the reason I'm doing this is to not just have some fun with friends, but to be able to talk about how people come to the church differently and how it shouldn't matter if you sit in the front pew and I sit in the back pew. Or if you don't even know what a pew is because your church doesn't have them anymore. Because I would bet that there's quite a few churches that don't have pews at all, including the church I'm a part of right now. But they do have rows of chairs. And if you sit in somebody's chair in the Lutheran church, whoo, buddy, watch out. But you guys got anything to add to what I just said?
I mean, I do think it is funny, not even just across denominations, but even within, the Lutheran Church, sometimes, we get so focused on the little things that, like sitting in somebody's, regular chair, you start getting side eyes from people during service or whatever. But, you get so caught up in the weeds that you forget the bigger picture.
Yeah, man. Just touching back on some of the stuff you said. I mean, it's when you talk about the history of the church, it's and what's going on in the upcoming. A good question to ask: are more of these new churches being contemporary to bring that younger crowd? To appeal to it because maybe the traditional church they don't see a fit there. I mean, I don't know. It's something worth exploring about our us three and Channing remaining friends this long. I mean, yeah, you talk about a diverse background of where we come from and things we've done and seen, but here we still are together.
It's
It does,
go ahead, Ruben.
I would say it does make you wonder, though, how progressive can you go before you lose, the core and the focus of what Christianity is to appeal to a younger generation, technology based
Hmm.
generation that needs the concert music and needs the energy or, needs other things to draw them in before you lose the focus of what the church is.
Yeah, I
How
think it's
far can you stretch those bounds?
yep. I think it's a fine line. You got to, and I guess churches are trying to figure out where that line is. But yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and I think that's been something rooted for a really long time. And idea of how far is too far, I think, is a real big thing in the LCMS in general. But I mean, if you look at any deep rooted Protestant church, you're probably going to see the same things. And in the denominations, I don't think any one of us would sit here and tell you, well, we're all three, considered Lutherans, so we're going to heaven, and you're not if you're not Lutheran. I think that each of us would say there's a difference what it means to stand behind your denomination comparatively to standing behind Christ and what Christ did. I think that that's what makes it even more interesting is I don't fully understand some of the things. I do resonate a little bit more and I lean a little bit more towards traditional worship that I think I jumped into it and enjoyed the not just the historical background, but the dedication to the doctrine that I learned not just through college, but through my time in a couple different churches in college, as well as coming to our Savior. And, really a lot of the things that our Savior does is even different than a lot of traditional confessional Lutheran churches. They're actually still a little bit off key than what someone would actually consider a true traditional LCMS church in this day. And I think that part of that too speaks to who Pastor White was and what he said, what he confessed, what he did, and how he taught scripture, because that was a big pivotal piece. Even my own daughters who went to school there still resonate with our Savior in a lot of ways, even more because of the stance that Pastor White himself took on Scripture alone. It gets a little bit dicey when people start to judge other churches and other pastors because they do a more contemporary style of worship comparatively to a traditional style of worship. And I think that the judgment that comes with that stuff is part of the problem we're seeing today with the advancement of the Lutheran Church, which I think a lot of people are not fully aware of the fact that even a short 25 years ago, there was actually about 300,000 more churches in the United States than there Lutheran churches, LCMS churches, than there is today. And if you look at schools, even in my time in Houston, running at 17 years, right, Derek? That's what we see.
hmm
In my 17 years in Houston, I've not only been a part of a school closure, a Lutheran school closure, but I've actually seen 4 other Lutheran schools close. And I've actually seen 3 Lutheran churches just in the Houston area alone close in those 17 years. And it's interesting the path we're taking, and I think it's generation today. What are we generation, or the kids that are being born today are like Gen Alpha or something like that? Is that what they call it?
Oh, you make me lie. I don't even know what they're calling themselves now.
I know. I don't even know what I am.
Yeah, I'm just kept up with
A
that.
millennial or something like that. Is that what
I
they
mean,
call it?
I will tell you, like just from my experiences and all, kind of the church I grew up in Houston, you know, pastor was very welcoming. His preaching style was very, captivating, and that's kind of like what I grew up with, and got used to. Go to college, the experience in churches, all
I'm
sorts of
muting
music,
you just for a second, D.
and come back and we go to OSL. Love Pastor White, but a lot of times it seemed like he was talking, at least my perspective, and I know everyone's gonna feel different. He would talk above you or at you, and it wasn't the most welcoming of sermons all the time. That wasn't everyone, but it was for me, it was most of the time, it's how I felt. And it was so traditional from what I was used to. Um, it just didn't resonate with me. The people were so welcoming, the activities that they had were welcoming, so we love the church, love the people. And then, the other church we went to, the church service was, resonated more with us. The people were less welcoming, so we didn't feel as welcome. And, they didn't have activities to go with. So, it was kind of hard finding that fit. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with churches is finding, if they don't feel welcome or they feel talked at, it's hard saying, yeah, I feel at home here. And I think that's the biggest reason people kind of give up on finding the right church for them and why we've seen a big drop off in, church attendance and, like you said, schools closing, churches closing.
I mean, that would make sense. A lot of people are, because I mean, one of the biggest reasons you start going to a church in general, I mean, part of the reason I go to specific churches is the job, but it's not just the job. Like, I have a little bit of a different investment in that because of the calling that I do through the job in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. But even more to that point of what you were trying to say, Ruben, is I think a lot of people they want to feel at home even more, and my wife talks about that all the time. She talks about how she feels accepted here at Epiphany with the people, how there's a good crowd of people that just kind of, in a sense, welcome you into the community. And I think there's a big piece to that. If you feel welcomed into the community and you become part of the community, you you want to stick around a lot more. And whether you do traditional worship or contemporary style worship, or for us here at Epiphany, we have 2 different services, and the 8 o'clock service is a, a very traditional service based off of the Lutheran service book. So we base the entire process off of the Lutheran service. And the second service is what they call blended, and it's not a big praise band, but they do play more contemporary worship with a piano, a guitar, and some drums, and then a bunch of singers. And so the worship style is a little bit different. The music's a little bit different, but the service is still the same. The layout, they still use the service book. So the blended service compared to a contemporary service, I'm coming to find out is very different in itself too. I think everyone is searching for a family. And I think part of the reason that us guys have stuck together and been friends for so long is because not just we care about one another, but genuinely care about each other's families and in a sense built a bigger widespread family. People look for that. But to keep us on track just a little bit as we added a few things that I wasn't planning on talking about, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I did. But to kind of go back to the one of our hunting trips, and so to start that kind of off, the punchline here, I'll let Ruben drop that one. But uh, Ruben came to me one time and was like, "Hey, we should go do this cast and blast." And I was like, "What the heck is a cast and blast?" And he's like, "Well, you go hunt and fish." I was like, "At the same time? How you gonna hunt and fish at the same time? You hold a rifle and a fishing pole, or you have a fishing line come off the side of your rifle, and you go fishing while you go hunting." That seriously, my mind right away was like, thought about it, was like, okay, so the only thing I'd ever heard about it before, and somebody said cast and blast was, they went duck hunting and then they went fishing. It's like, okay, so are we duck hunting and fishing? And Ruben's like, no, we're gonna hunt nilgai. It's like, okay, what the heck is a nilgai? A nilgai is, if you don't know anything about nilgai, a nilgai is like a 900-pound Asian antelope that are just huge and they just look crazy. Go down to Corpus Christi in December. The first one we did was December, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we go down to Corpus Christi because Ruben's from there, and his cousin is supposedly not a guide, but kind of a guide and knows guides, and is like, hey, we can get you on this island that they call 9 Mile Island, and you walk around the island and you hunt nilgai. Like, okay, cool. And then you're right off Corpus Christi. You can do a bunch of fishing in the midst of it all and whatnot. And so Ruben sets us up, and we end up going. What happened is Channing, who I was really hoping would be here because he's the other guy that's been on both of the trips. Derek didn't go on the first one; he got to go on the second one. But we go on this thing, and right away we're sitting there talking in the Ruben. Was it you? Was it your cousin? I don't even remember who said, "Okay, we need to leave at like 4 a.m." to get on this boat to ride for an hour and a half to get to the island. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can remember it was stinking early, and we get up and we sit on this boat in the middle of December when the weather actually started to act like it was the middle of winter. And we're riding this boat, and I can remember at one point thinking, wow, I've never been this cold in my entire life. And so I guess the punchline comes when we get to the island. So, Ruben, what happened when we got to the island?
So the first day, it wasn't bad. I mean, it's South Texas. It's not that cold in winter. Um, so the day before, we kind of took a little joyride out there, and it wasn't bad. And we were on more of a fan boat, so they got us like right up to the island, and everything was cool.
Oh, well, that's nice because that's not what we got.
Well, that's because you didn't show up that day.
I had to
So,
teach that day.
so the next day, we're on a different boat. We get out there, and because it couldn't go in as shallow a water, they dock us like half a mile off the coast. And they're like, all right, you got to wait out there. And to top it off, it started raining. It was a light rain. It was more of like a misty rain, but that just made it that much colder at, 5 in the morning.
Well, when we finally got to the island too, there was a point where it wasn't just like a misty rain anymore.
Yeah, it was coming down a
It
little
was
bit.
coming down pretty hard there for a minute, and I can remember looking at the temperature, and the temperature dropped to 46 degrees. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So we get to the island, and of course, it's this island that has been built by trudging the ship channels because all the dirt and dust that comes up, and the boats need to keep running through the ship channel. So they trudge the ship channels, and then it makes these islands over time of trudging it. And this island, they call it 9 Mile Island because it's literally 9 miles long. The ship channel's a half a mile from the island. So the boat we're in is so deep we can't get close to the island. So we get out into the water, and the water, I mean, talking about, 46 degrees, or, at that point, might have been still 50 degrees, but oh, hey, 50 degrees in the water. That sounds fun. Yeah. Speaking of that, have you guys ever done a cold bath or a cold plunge?
Yes.
It's the worst thing ever, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Initially, you
it
get
helps
into
your
it, but
muscles later.
So,
yeah.
so some of us had waders like we were told to bring. I
Oh
borrowed a
yeah,
buddy's waders.
a buddy that was what, 7 feet taller than you.
Yeah, he was pretty tall.
And didn't
Um,
you rip through the waders or something?
no, I lost a toenail because of them, though. That was pretty
Oh shoot.
awesome.
Yeah. Man, you lost a
Um,
lot in both those trips, dude.
yeah, dude, it was weird. And he warned me about it too. I think it was the left boot was a little tighter than the right boot, which I don't know why it would be made that way, but he said he had the same issues. And I was like, oh, well, your foot's a little bigger than mine. I'll be all right. And no, it wasn't all right. But
Well, even
yeah,
with waders though, dude, I mean,
well, I think the waiters made it worse because, I've already said I'm a big dude and gravity works, man. So, Derek will remember he laughed his butt off at me. But I had to catch myself on what I was going to say there for you, Mike.
oh, nice.
You're stepping out and you're waiting and you're sinking in this wet, like the sand that's soaked. Like, so you start off knee deep and then you sink to hip deep. And then you got to pull your whole body out. Like, you're not even just pulling, like, it was so bad. And the water was just knee high, but I'm telling you, man, it came like it was coming up over the waders
Yeah.
and getting inside of them because you're just sinking in this water.
Yeah.
And then you had like skinny people like Channing, it was like they were walking on water and they just glided right through the damn thing. They never sank at all. And
I
I'm like,
remember that. That damn Shannon was made it to the island. He's looking back at us like, are y'all going to get here or what? Like, you know what? Yeah. Where's the
It's
dump button? You know what? Forget you, man.
oh,
But
dude, yeah, it
Ruben,
was
it
so
didn't
cold.
help that you had that damn survival pack that weighed 50 pounds that we had to lug to the island. That didn't help you. I mean, that helped you
So,
sink
oh
too.
man.
Because I was like,
so
God, this thing is heavy.
when we went the second time, yeah, I took my hunting backpack and carried it like it has a waterproof shell. And, put your rifle and everything on it. Nobody else wanted to take a backpack, so like, oh, can I put my stuff in your bag? I was like, sure, why not? And before I knew it, the damn
You yeah, somebody took out your stuff.
oh yeah, somebody
So
took
you
out
got
my.
to the island and you didn't have your undies.
I didn't have nothing. My boots were gone. Like it was so
Oh
miserable.
man. I remember doing the first time, and I remember thinking, "Wow, this is the worst ever." And instead of, yeah, at some point I was like, "Okay, I think I had some waiters, but I was like, I'm leaving them in the boat because you got out and I mean, you were sinking so bad." I was like, "Forget this." I put all my clothes in my backpack and just jumped out in my underpants, and I was like,
Yeah,
I'm just going, man," and I just
this
trudged
genius was
through
in
the
his
whole.
chonus and just hightailed it to shore like he was running a marathon. He's just like high kneeing it, knife handing it. Like
Man,
and
I
we
was getting there. I honestly think that both times it took us almost 2 hours to get from the boat to the island. And I can remember when I was kind of writing the pieces to this this story for this podcast, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, we got to that island, and I can literally remember getting to the island and just flat out flopping on
oh yeah.
the shore like a fish because I was so dead. And I can remember sitting there for at least a good 30 minutes before I got up and moved again.
Dude, you just laid there like starfished.
Yeah.
Like and you're quoting longest yard, you're like,
Yep. Can of
can
corn.
of corn, and I'll be
Can of corn, I'll
fine.
be fine. Oh man. But the first trip, I mean, Derek, that was the worst part of the second trip because getting back to the boat the second trip was easy because we found that dry spot that we could walk across that had no water. And then the weather was great the whole time.
Yeah.
But that first time, man, we got on the island and it went downhill after the 2 hour hike, knee deep water, sinking in the mud, dropping everything in the water. It got worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the second time when we went back to the boat, the tide had rolled out and the wind was blowing so much it dried the ground. So we just walked straight to the boat.
Yeah.
So it made it a lot easier.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah, I remember we were all beat. We were at that little shack of a house and just were all laid out.
I
I think I
know.
said
That's
pictures
another one
from that.
too. Of course, yeah, the good old cousin Nick who forgot to come back for us, so we couldn't
Yeah.
get to the second cabin.
The best thing about that first trip, like once we got to the island, we got sorted out. We were like, all right, let's do this. And the rain's coming down. You can't see anything through your scope because they're all fogged up and water on the lenses. I'm pretty sure we could have shot, a hog. My buddy Ross he was stalking a deer with his buddy, so they had two big bucks that they were tracking down, pushing to the end of the island. I think there was like a coyote running around there too. And I mean, at one point we saw the hog and we were tracking him through the scrub brush. And I almost was ready to pull the trigger, but I couldn't find where Mike was, didn't know where he was.
I was
So,
really hoping Shannon would be here for this part of the story because I'm walking in one spot and Ruben's walking in another spot, but because on most of the island the brush is at least chest high, at one point, the bushes we were going around were way above our heads, and Ruben
yeah.
couldn't see where I was at. I couldn't see where Ruben was. And we're sitting here walking, and Ruben sees this pig, and he's getting ready to turn and shoot. And Channing's like, he's screaming and yelling, "Don't shoot! Don't shoot!"
Yeah, like where's Mike? He's like, don't shoot Mike. Like,
Don't
Mike,
shoot.
where are you? By the
I was
time
really hoping, I was really hoping that Channing
oh,
would be on here because he could tell us, how close you were to shooting me.
you actually weren't near where I was gonna shoot, but we didn't know where you were. You were in that general direction, but I would have been clear, and we ended up losing where the hog went because I was just like, "Where's Mike?"
Well,
We couldn't
Channing
find.
Channing was the only one that could see both of us.
Yeah,
And
he
that's why
thought I
he
was
was
about to
screaming and
just
yelling because he could
pull the
see both
trigger
of
on
us,
you.
but you and I couldn't see, couldn't see anywhere from there.
Oh,
But
dude, we
oh
ended up
man.
striking out, and we were thinking to ourselves too, like, what if we would have shot a Neil guy? You got this 1,000-pound
Oh
animal
yeah.
that we got to drag all the way back to that boat.
Well, and the second time we bought that inflatable boat, so just in case we needed to trudge through the water again, we could carry everything.
But
Then
somebody
it was
didn't
like,
get it. Who
Well,
forgot it?
yeah, oh,
well,
that's right. We forgot that.
Oh no, don't put no we on this.
yeah,
A
I
certain
forgot.
somebody forgot to bring the inflatable raft.
Yeah,
We even bought it at Walmart too. I remember when we took it
Yes.
back the next day. Ruben did.
well,
Ruben bought
finish,
it, and then we took it back and got his money back for it.
finishing off that first trip, we lost where Ross and his buddy went to, and
Yeah, I
there's no
never saw
service
them.
out there in the
Couldn't find
intercoastal,
him.
so we couldn't find them on the island. Dude. We're yelling for them, nothing. And finally, the boat came back. Like we were just kind of sitting chilling until they came back. And we walk out there, no sign of Ross. So they leave us at one of the floating cabins in the middle of the intercoastal. And it just turned out that this one, there's nobody there. And they had those little like mini propane lanterns.
Little
Or
teeny tiny one.
so big old Mike and Channing are like two grizzlies fighting over a fish for this heater because they are just freezing. They didn't care anything about warming up. Like they needed a warmth. So they're wrestling like grizzlies over there, and I wasn't about to get in the middle of that. So I just grabbed a fishing rod and started fishing off the side of the cabin just to keep warm. And dude, I ended up cleaning up on some white drum. I maxed my limit on them. I want to say my dad and my uncle, where they maxed out on their limit. We ended up coming home with like 15 white drum that were pretty good size.
Yeah, we had a
Uh,
huge amount of fish.
yeah, so
Because
it worked
even
out
then,
pretty
like,
well.
yeah, after a while, I started fishing a little bit and caught a few as well. And but man, I was so stinking cold. The trip though, I think what was worse, like getting through the ocean, getting to the island was like one thing, but when we were trudging through the middle of that island to try and get to the other side, and it's 46 degrees and it's raining. Channing had it even worse. I wish he was here to tell you all how much fun he had in his jeans because he wore jeans, and so he's trudging through the island in jeans, soaking wet.
Soaking wet.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, we were so cold. It was freezing. It was easily the worst and the best experience ever. And the second time around was a lot of fun too, but man, we thought we smartened up from the first time, and then we got out of the boat and started walking to the island. It was like, wow, we really didn't
Yeah,
wise up at all.
we didn't learn anything.
We didn't learn jack from that.
Well,
And
I thought I came prepared, but then with my pants missing, my jacket missing, I was out there in like basketball shorts and my boots, and I was getting cut up by all the scrub brush. Like I
oh
probably
shoot.
lost a pint of blood on that trip. Uh, and I lost my pistol. That was a
Yeah,
terrible.
that one was bad too. Right at the bottom of the ocean, man.
Somewhere in the intercoastal, there's a really nice gun.
Yeah. But I think Derek, you dropped your entire 30-06 in the water, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I got it back, but it rusted so bad. It's in the closet now. I took the
Yeah.
scope off of it. You can't use. I just had to replace it.
I
There was
took
no
it.
cleaning it.
I took mine hydrosonic cleaner. They put your
Hmm,
gold in a solution, and it cleans all the rust off of it, and you get it like new again.
really? To check
Yeah,
that out. Might
He
save it.
well, he took mine too. Yeah, and it turned out pretty good.
yeah, because my AR started rusting up pretty good from getting in the salt water, and
Yeah.
they did a good job with it. But they take it apart, they put all the individual pieces in, and I think they run like electro waves through it in the solution, and it just breaks all the rust off. It's pretty cool.
But those trips I think about all the time, man. I think about when we're gonna do the third one, you know?
No, I always say we need to do it again, and then it's like to me, it's like tattoos. Like it sounds fun, the concept's good, then you get in the chair and you're like, man, this hurts. Like, why am I doing this?
I know. I think about that too. I think about that when I first started working out again too. It's like, man, I haven't since Jasper was born, I kind of stopped doing everything. Honestly,
Yeah,
I was in bad shape for a while, just doing nothing but fine. I think what was a kind of a saving grace in a sense was my shoulder when it finally went and I really needed to have surgery. And finally got that rotator cuff surgery done. That changed everything. Crazy,
well, we
crazy
got to plan
times.
some sort of trip to get us together again.
I know. My hope is, and maybe we can make this happen sooner than later. But my hope is that one time, uh, and maybe it's one time, or maybe it's two times a year or something. We all four of us get together and are able to do this podcast. All four of us around the same table. 'Cause,
That'd be cool.
yeah, if we could do that and then set up a trip around it, would be pretty tight.
Maybe we can
That'd
talk
be cool.
sauce. I can make it a business expense.
There you go. There you go. We did so the very first episode, I don't know if you all watched it, but I actually put out two. I put out two episodes. And mainly I put out the second one because one day we were in here messing with the equipment and Toby was with me and he's just so funny on the thing that I rolled with it and built like a little 16-minute podcast video out of it. And it was pretty cool. But between the two, and I pushed it out in um, mainly just through text message, and then everyone from there took off. And I just posted it on Friday. But from Friday, we've already had like 110 views, and I have 8 people subscribed to the channel already. So as soon
Oh,
as I get this one done and put together, they're gonna see that right away because quite a few of them uh, went ahead and subscribed to the channel. So I think there's quite a few people ready for this. Not just the banter back and forth about how terrible the NBA All-Star game is and how horrible a cast and blast in December weather Texas is, but just the fact that we all have come together in a completely different ways, but in the same, really in the same Lutheran church, because all four of us at some point, played how many countless basketball games have we played together at Our Savior?
Yeah, I haven't even touched a basketball since I left Houston.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've touched one, but I played last summer and it was pretty bad. But in the middle of like right before the summer league playoff time is when I tore my rotator cuff, and so I haven't really touched a ball since then. Derek, you play any?
Not regularly. I got roped into it at a family reunion. They were talking trash, and I was like, you know what? Fine, let's go. Worst decision of my life.
Yeah. I could imagine.
Oh,
I
man.
could imagine. Say it's not the same as it used to be, huh?
No, not at
I
all.
will tell you, at my age, I'm glad I found cornhole. Like that's what my physical speed.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got back into lifting a little bit, and I'm actually like, I'm not supposed to lift heavy until next month, I guess, but I actually lifted pretty light last week and was able to do quite a bit and didn't really have any pain. But I've been jogging a lot, and I kind of test that to everything, but needing to get healthier and lose weight and all my doctor's appointments I've had because of the surgery has kind of changed the course of things big time. We have a big path, like it's exactly 1 mile right behind our house and the new house we're at here in Houston. I think that's done a lot because I get out there and I make Jasper ride in the stroller with me, and it gets him out and about, and Toby will come out and do his scooter and stuff, and it makes it a little bit easier. But I think jogging has been as far as it goes for me.
Yeah, I love hearing you say stuff like that because I'll see your workout and oh yeah, I'm just gonna do lightweight, high rep. Well, yeah, what'd you do today, man? Well, I'll put on like 405 and did it 3 times. Okay, yeah, that's lightweight, high rep. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I haven't done that since I tore my shoulder. So I think that's probably why I did tear my shoulder, because it was like at one point, you stop lifting for 3 years and, you're still strong enough to lift 400 pounds because you almost weigh 400 pounds. But over the years, your tendons and everything, they don't really hold up the same way.
It's always what's Mike's approximation of lightweight.
Yeah, I know, right? What's
Okay.
his scale here?
I did 3 sets of 15 at 135 last week. Okay. How was that?
Oh, Mike, what are you warming up with? Oh, 315. Okay. It's lightweight.
Uh-huh.
It used to be that way. It may be again someday. I did do 225 with Morrissey a couple weeks ago, but I did 8 of them. And after I did them, it wasn't hurting so bad, but I could feel it in my shoulder. So I was like, yeah, I probably better stop. Which is very smart, because had I, kept going, I might have done something different. One thing that you would like to do for yourself, for your family, for the church going forward, what would be the one thing you'd strive to do?
What do you mean by for
So,
yourself?
yeah, okay. So the question I'm asking is, if there was one thing that you want to make routine for yourself, not just going to church, but in the sense of, I'd really like my family to attend a specific church or a specific church service together, or in that sense, the idea behind the question is not just for yourselves, but challenging others. What would you want to see yourself do in the next, year or so?
Tell you what, Ruben, I'll take this one first. Now that the kids are off and gone, I think me and the wife have talked more about mission trips. Getting involved a little bit more in something like that, to go somewhere to help out, spread the word, that way. I think maybe that's the next step for us. And like I said, we've been really kicking that one around a little bit. It is me and her, and you don't have to worry about the kids so much more anymore because they're starting to be, grown ups.
Yeah, somewhat self-reliant other than when they
Yeah,
both need money.
exactly. Exactly. Waiting for a text message now.
Yeah. You spoke too many words. One of them's going to text you, you know it, before the show's over.
Oh, well, I mean, it's weekly. The little girl will message me.
Oh yeah.
Dad,
She
Dad, I really
just
want to go to this place and get some food. Do you mind if I use your card? Because she has one of my cards. So yeah.
yeah, there it
With your
is.
grades. Yeah. Oh yeah. Ethan, not so much, man. Ethan's good. Ethan doesn't call us for hardly anything. You
Yeah.
almost got to force him to take
Talk.
stuff, but
Yeah, or talk to you at all.
yeah, right. No, no, you ain't got to force him to do that. He calls, and he calls. I will give him that. He calls daily.
Oh, that's
Well,
impressive. I wouldn't
let me
have, well,
rephrase.
you
Let
know,
me rephrase. He calls his mama daily,
okay, yeah.
like Papa.
I figured as much. I was just not going to say
Yeah.
anything. You said it for me though, but I
No, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, say what it is. Yeah, yeah. I'll get a call once a weekish, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe every other week. But yeah, she gets a call same time every night. Yeah.
That's yeah. I was talking to somebody just a couple weeks ago about that, and I was like, it's funny because honestly, aside from Ruben, I probably don't talk to anybody. Like, and even now, Ruben, we don't talk as much as we used to. But there was a while there where we were talking pretty much weekly, and I would do that with my mom all the time. I'd call my mom almost every week, and I don't talk to my dad. And everyone asks me all the time, "How's your dad doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while." And it's really funny though, because it's really different how guys are different, way different. Because I talked to Malin or Aaron, who are both up in Colorado, and buddies from childhood, and I mean, we talk about when we get together and stuff. It's like you go 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and guys get back together, and it's like nothing ever changed.
Hmm.
You pick up right where you left off 10 years ago. But yeah, it's a little different for girls half the time.
Yeah, my answer to that question is like I've never been a reader, not through
Yeah.
high school, through college. Last year I did really well, and I think I read 3 books in like the first 2 months of the year. Crystal would laugh at me because I think she hit over 80 for the year, or was close to 80 if she didn't go over 80. But I mean, she just burns through books like nothing, like 2 books a week. It's ridiculous. And on top of that, she like crochets like 100 things a year too. So she kind of splits her free time between reading and that. But one of the things I had started trying to do was read a devotion.
Oh, nice.
And just because I am your stereotypical, we go to church on Sunday, I don't touch or look at a Bible the rest of the week kind of person. And so I started trying to read that, and I fell off. Like I got out of the routine. I was good for, the first 3 months of the year. And, so something I would challenge, not just myself, but everybody to do is take 10, 15 minutes to start your day. Like don't even wait till later in the day. Otherwise you just ain't gonna do it. But first thing when you're getting your coffee, if you work from home, when you're firing up your computer to log in for work, just do a 10, 15-minute devotion. I mean, like this one takes all of 2 minutes to read it. But, then if you open up the Bible and go to the passages it references, you'll get into 5, 10 minutes. But, just something to start your day off in the Word.
Yeah. I think that's a big one. And I mean, you hear it often. You hear a lot of people talk about, well, it's, I'm not necessarily, I don't go to church. I mean, I believe in God. I have a relationship with God, or, spend time. I hear this often with even some people, like close people to our families. It's like, well, we watch virtual church once in a while, and that's kind of our church, and or we do this or that, and I think a lot of times it's, and not to say that you can't have a good relationship with Jesus Christ if you don't go to church every single Sunday, or you know, do this or that. But the idea behind the devotion to it is, I think, you know, kind of what you're trying to say too, Ruben. And I would agree 100%. You know, it's and I'm actually quite in the same boat you are. My wife is, just to give you a for instance with how crazy Ashley is, and you said your wife reads a couple books a week. Well, my wife read exactly one book a day in January. Not
Jesus.
joking. Not joking. She read one book a day in
Like
January.
audiobook or legit read a
No,
paper?
no. She legit read books. And
Wow.
I've watched her read a book, probably 350 pages in a
Mm.
day, maybe 450 pages in a day. And yeah, it's wild, man. It's crazy. And I'm like, I'm over here. I put in a goal, and last year she put in a goal to read 150 books in a year, and I think she busted it by like 20. She read like 170 in the year.
Jeez.
And I mean, you know, which obviously she slowed down. Now January she had a little bit more time to read, and she's on pace to read not a book a day in February, but she's on book like 13, I think, and it's the 16th day of February. And so she's like, man, yeah, she's just a reader in general. And I'm like over here, I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, you know what? And I've actually read more books in the past 5 months than I've read my entire life. Now, most of them were audio books, and I've actually gotten into where instead of listening to music while I'm lifting, while I'm running, and while I'm working out, I'm actually listening to audiobooks. And it's made me read more books because of it, and I, you know, have really started reading and getting into. But yeah, reading is just one of those things that is difficult to get rolling
I
if
mean, I
you're
don't
not a
know
reader,
if
you
you
know.
can see my bookcase right here. Those are
I don't
movies.
think those are books, man.
Those are modules.
I remember those from college, man. Those aren't books, those are DVDs.
And in all fairness, the far one is actually books,
Okay.
but the other two are movies. Like,
Yeah.
I am not a reader, bro. I'm a watcher.
Yeah. But no, I think that's a great challenge. And you know, D, I think that'd be awesome if you guys did a mission trip. I think it'd be sweet. uh, be good for you to, you know, get out and share a little bit and do some stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, you got a big mission field right there on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, man. Get you one of those portable speakers with microphones like those guys, those big old signs on the corners, you know.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, that's not aggressive and not quite
Oh,
what you think it is at all, man. Anyways, uh I appreciate you guys coming on this podcast. I'm hoping to make this you know, semi monthly, or you know, at least one or two in a month. I'm hoping if you guys are down for it, and maybe we can get Channing on this thing one time
I always
as
wondered, is
well.
bi-monthly every other month or is it twice a month?
That's a good question, because I almost changed it to bi-weekly, because originally that's what I was thinking, you know, like, so I'm gonna have to eventually, you know, break into figuring out a better platform to get that out there. But my hope is eventually to be putting out at least three or four a month, and then if I get you guys on a couple times a month would be ideal. And Derek, you have to find a way to get your computer working, man.
Yeah, I know. Doing this from my phone is just not the same.
I think it's a great opportunity, not just for us to hang out and banter back and forth, but just to, you know, reach a different crowd and talk a little bit differently about how each of us has come to where we are now, but even more so, hopefully, share some stories, share some insights, and even some challenges to people to draw closer to Christ in whatever way we can. You guys got any last words, thoughts, anecdotes? Is it
There's some good
antidote or
ones.
anecdote, Ruben?
Well, an antidote is different than an anecdote. So
Yes, it is. I know. That's why I asked.
there's no antidote for me, bro. You're stuck with me
Right.
once you got me.
I know. I know. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. But I will say, do you have any
Nothing here, bro.
Nothing. D, you got any last words?
No, man. Hey, I
Cool.
think it's good now.
It's a start, right?
Yep, it's a start.
You can't, well, they say you can't make an omelet unless you crack some eggs.
Right?
You can't
See, I'm
make.
just gonna have to dye my beard white right here so I
You're
can
gonna
see
have to
it.
work on that because mine's getting there, man.
Yeah, yours is coming in.
You have to join the club, buddy.
Yeah, get there.
Yeah, we'll get Derek's beard longer, and I'll dye mine more white.
Yeah, wait till Channing shows up with his little baby face. What is it? You can't make salsa unless you have tomatoes.
I'm like that. I'll
Oh.
tell you what, though, don't get that in your eye. That
Oh
burns.
yeah, no kidding. I've been there.
I have too.
Story for another day was some that'll be like episode 7 or something like that. What happens after you chop up a bunch of jalapenos or habaneros, Ruben? Make sure you don't touch anything, right?
Won't touch it.
So, don't touch anything.
Hey, man, I think we've all been down that road before.
Yeah. First time I ever made jalapeno poppers on my own, I went and took a leak afterwards.
Oh, shoot.
That was the worst.
Yeah, we learned real
worst
quick
day
to
ever. But yeah, I'm sure. So,
Cool,
well,
man.
guys, yeah, thank you all so much for coming on. And hopefully we'll have you back on soon. Back on our lovely podcast called Different Pews, Same Promise. Hopefully looking at not just a bunch of guys that came to the church in a different way and grew up differently and look differently. And obviously we all have beards, but Channing's not here to, round out the party. But it's interesting the different ways we grew up, the different ways we, not just look at the church now today or where we're at, Ruben being in Colorado and Derek being in Louisiana and me still being here in Texas, but the different ways that we practice religion now, the different ways we look at stuff, but we all still have the exact same promise. The promise that's been there from the beginning, the promise that God gives us through his son, Jesus Christ, and what he did for us on the cross. So my hope through all this is that we draw a few more people under that promise and hopefully share it in a way that at the worst starts laughing at us because of how silly and stupid we are. And maybe here's the love of Christ through that. So, guys, I thank you so much for being a part of this and coming on today and getting this podcast rolling. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And hopefully we'll see each other again before too long. Let's not wait another 10 years.
Sounds good.
Yep, sounds good here.
Cool. All right. Well, you all have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
See ya. So that was Ruben and Derek, and we really appreciate not just your time, but appreciate them coming on and appreciate the stories they had and the things that come with it. But through this, and even though Channing couldn't be here, you'll see him eventually. He's the fourth person in that interesting caricature picture of us. But the idea behind the four of us getting together and doing this is that we all did come together through the Lutheran Church. And it was at that time that we just grew a foundational friendship that has lasted forever. And we're all now in 4 completely different places, really 3 different states, 4 different churches. And yet we still come together, and we still not just come together when we have time, but do things together when we can and enjoy each other's company. And the entire idea for that is that at some point in time, this is my challenge to you guys before I officially sign off here. At some point in time, take a look at the person in the pew next to you and give yourself an opportunity to not just share love for them and with them, but show them what it truly means to be a part of a community. a church community can be a foundational piece for your entire life. And I hope that that challenge and the challenges that those other two guys laid out a little bit with missional work and with just devotional and reading time and getting some time in the Word each and every day before you even start your day, and how different it can change and how life-changing it can be. Before next time, I hope you guys have a great week. Love on your neighbor at some point in time this week, and pray for your neighbor as much as you can. Take the time to reach out to your neighbor, be there for your neighbor, and uplift him in every way possible, because that's exactly what Christ wanted us to do. And that promise that we all have in Christ is just amazing in itself. So take care, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching Different Pews, Same Promise.
Break me, no power can defeat.